Welcome back, finally, to Bat Fridays here on one comic book a day. What a solid start for the new year with Batman to start with Detective Comics 76, Slay Them with Flowers. It is fairly solid and fun. I'll put quotation marks around that Batman story. It's very kid centric, and Batman's being written cringe and corny. Sometimes it doesn't work, but at other times it does thematically work with how silly these stories are. I do wish that the dialogue in certain cases was a little better, but I do enjoy lines like Bouquet of Knuckles. You see, we have ourselves a plant themed adventure, but Poison Ivy doesn't exist yet, so the Joker's going to have to take over. Though he's not going to be gunning for her job anytime soon, seeing what ends up turning out to be his actual plan. The Joker's taken over a florist shop, a flower shop, and is essentially selling flowers to rich people and releasing chloroform from a device he had inside the soil. No, he didn't create some sort of chemical plant, though this is something he definitely is able to pull off later. In fact, in Grant Morrison's run, he had the whole red and black roses that were non-lethal if you were handling either one of the roses, but if you brought them together in any sort of way, mixed them, it created some sort of deadly gas that killed a lot of people. And oh, is it Batman 664 or 665? That's the novella issue that confused the hell out of me at the time because I thought I had made a mistake buying the wrong comic because it was a novella. And this plan, well, I wouldn't say it works really well because Batman essentially solves things at the start. Like, as soon as he's thrown in there, I think part of it is because they didn't do what had been the regular opening for a Batman story for him to be fighting either some random criminals or criminals that would be involved in the plot later in the story, or he would be continuing to go after these criminals. So maybe they were afraid that they needed an action sequence. In fact, this action sequence takes up a lot of Batman. Fight scenes in Batman take up a lot of the storytelling, and you know what? It works. It's at least more interesting and fun than, say, a Superman comic where sometimes he just runs in and throws a guy around. We actually have some thought into the fights. That's why dynamic comes up a lot when it comes to these fights. And there's some fun lines, like I said, the bouquet of knuckles, which is definitely going to be the title of this episode. It's just not all that exciting. At times it feels like filler just to get to when Batman's going to stop him, but at least it builds up to Batman stopping him. It's always kind of a challenge, mostly because Batman is really stupid in this comic. And even though he knows he's dealing with different kinds of gases or some sort of chemical compound, he never puts a mask on. Twice they lose a fight because they pass out due to the chloroform in the air. And you think he would have thought that after the first time. No, he still runs into the fight without putting anything over to cover his face with Robin. Robin is there. Robin saves his life by throwing like a rake at a point in the story, or was it a hoe? It was a rake or a hoe. So mostly he gets knocked out so we can have him in a death trap as the comic starts resembling the structure of the 60s TV show, or where the 60s TV show will essentially get its structure from, learn its structure from, of him being put in a death trap. This one, he's just being dropped in an elevator that they've cut the cable on. Uh, it's a pretty easy solution. There's an emergency brake. He just switches with his chin. It would have been more impressive if he did it with his teeth. And Robin makes a pun about that. Also, and this is nitpicky, elevators, I'm pretty sure even in the 1940s, we're in about 1943 at this point, have like an emergency failsafe brake system where if even if the cord is broken, there are brakes, I believe, on all four corners of the elevator. I'm not 100% certain if I'm correct on that part, but essentially, if the elevator exceeds a certain speed, it clamps down to stop the elevator, which is why you don't hear a lot of stories about elevators crashing down. It can happen. It's very hard to do, but it's not impossible for it to happen. What I'm saying is it shouldn't have been a death trap unless Joker had stopped those emergency brake systems. Also, the story has to kind of keep itself going for a while because Batman essentially figures out what flower shop it is I mean, all he had to do was ask where those flowers were coming from. Even after the first crime, it seemed pretty obvious where it was. But he doesn't know where the Joker would have hid his ill gotten gains because the Joker should be smarter than that. And he's right. So he sets himself up just to specifically follow him. This is just a great scene to have Alfred be in the comic, wanting to fight the Joker, but that doesn't happen. This all leads to a fight outside a bulletproof. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting this out. A bulletproof greenhouse, which is not why you wouldn't want to do that. Bulletproof glass can suffocate you if you're using too much of it and you seal yourself in. But they do have like little gun sight holes or holes to shoot guns out of. So I guess air is getting in. The bigger problem, and you know what? As I was sort of bored with the story, but had to admire what was happening in it, Batman does defeat him by releasing a whole bunch of chloroform in there. And I like the it's all built up into it. He uses Joker's own plan against him, even leaving Joker with a roses are red, violets are blue poem when he gets captured. So it's a fun little story. That's not great, but I think it's better than average. As I said, I think Batman just works a lot better with what they're doing in the 1940s than, say, Superman. Like even when they get to the confronting the Joker, it doesn't just end. There's a whole fight that goes back and forth to Batman having to figure out a way to stop the Joker as he gets into a bulletproof hothouse. I'm sorry, it's hard for me to say. Okay, that is it from Detective Comics 76. Slay 'em with flowers. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when new videos up. I do this Monday through Friday, but Mondays and Thursdays I cover a Superman story in either Action Comics or Superman. And very soon, Superboy. Please join us next time. Same Bat Day, same comic book channel. Have a great day.